Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, sekali lagi kita dapat bersama-sama di dalam rancangan Wacana Minda UIA. Keutamaan di dalam aspek dakwah di Malaysia. Kita mulakan tajuk ini dengan membahaskan
Dear listeners, I am Najah, the producer for Pages of Karangcraft. Don't forget to stay tuned with us. We will discover Karangcraft's bestseller collections every Thursday from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. only on IIUM FM, your campus radio.
Start now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to our radio show here in IIUM FM, program called The Traveler's Advantage, where is the stories and ideas and the conversations that lift your heart and inspire your soul. I'm your host, Nasser Ali Nasser, and here from IIUM FM today,
Are you craving for something
talking
delicious?
about something
Head over
exciting.
Baghdin Satay, known
How
for its
travelers-
tender
Best
chicken.
diet tips. Drink plenty of water or other
Wait a second, I have to check.
extra calories when an ice cold glass of water is really what you need. If you don't like plain
Sebenarnya
water,
program ini kita harapkan kita dapat menjalankan aktiviti-aktiviti untuk kita sharing. Sharing is caring. Keruntuhan umat manusia, umat Islam hari ini dah sampai maksimum. Kita hilang yang pertama sekali hati, akal yang sedar dengan fitrah. Bila kita hilang tadi tu, sebenarnya kita telah hilang Allah daripada hidup.
Hashtag Dan Dakwah every Wednesday 6 to 7 p.m. Stay tuned with us. I'm DJ Atika and I'm DJ Ati at iim.fm, your campus radio.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear listeners, welcome to Inspiring Waves, your radio program for stories, ideas, and exciting conversation that lift your heart and inspire your soul. I'm your host, Nasser Ali Nasser, here from IIUM FM, and today we are talking about something exciting, how traveling can change your mindset and help you grow and inspire your work. Have you ever wondered how traveling the world could shape your mindset, fuel your entrepreneurial spirit, and bring you closer to the core of Islamic values? Our guest today is a living testament that transformative power. Our guest is Sayyid Zaid Al-Mahdali. He's a traveler, community leader, and entrepreneur. With just $1,500, he visited many countries like Turkey, Spain, and Yemen, and many more. Along with the way, he built connections and started amazing projects. He's the CEO founder of Al Umran Network and works as PR executive at Nama Foundation. He's here to share how his travels helped him grow and succeed. So guys, grab some tea, relax, and learn how that traveler's advantage can inspire us all. Sayyid Zaid, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. Bikhair.
MashaAllah. Thank you for coming us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. You have, let's get to it.
Let's
You have
go.
traveled far and wide around the world overseas, right? And with a modest budget, achieved remarkable milestones. So can you start by sharing what sparked your love of traveling and how it intertwines your entrepreneurial ventures?
Jazakallah, Nasir. First of all, I have to pour my Adni chai first. You know, not tea.
Okay.
But Adni chai. You gotta fix that. Yemeni, you have to know that.
All right.
But generally, I guess if what happened was that I remember it very vividly. Actually, growing up, my parents they currently they're already in their 70s. But when they were younger, they always told me about their experiences traveling. You know, during the 80s, they went to Iran. They went to all these countries that most people don't go, right? and then they come back and they bring all these mementos in the form of stories, right? And from these stories, I realized that these things are very fascinating. And fast forward to a few years when I was 14 or 15th birthday, I think, my siblings, who they themselves travel a lot as well, my sister specifically, my second sister, her name is Hajar.
Mm-hmm.
One day I told her that I came across this book online called The Rihlah of Ibn Battuta, which I know you know. And I searched it online, trying to hack and trying to find the copy that I can pirate, right?
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, Allah saved me from sin, so I couldn't pirate it, I couldn't steal it. But online, they only provided one page, the first page.
Okay.
Right? And honestly, the first page is all I needed. Because the first page, the first sentence it said on the book, Ibn Battuta wrote 500 years ago, it said,
Mm-hmm.
on the 22nd lunar year, I set out alone, having neither fellow traveler nor companion that I may find cheer with, but I set out leaving my family, my friends who are beloved to me, and I set out to do my umrah, he said, and my hajj,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that when he comes back, he might not even meet them again. And I read just this paragraph that, of course, I was paraphrasing, right?
Yeah.
It was much better than that. But when I read that, it brought me 500 years ago, you know, because I realized that this book, which was written with the title saying that Ibn Battuta titled his book saying, this is a gift to those who wonder the marvels of traveling and the beauty of cities, he said.
Mm-hmm.
And all written of his diary, of his rihla, is a gift for people in the future who cannot travel yet, but lives through someone else's travel,
Okay.
right? And from reading that, it inspired me, you know. I felt like, Allah, I want to read this book, but one day, alhamdulillah, my sister gifted it to me.
Okay.
And truth be told, I didn't even finish it, but the first page is all I needed. I was inspired up until I reached certain
I
age.
see, yeah.
And I told myself that I knew I did not want to travel if I was not ready yet, right? Because at that time, in Malaysia, it was kind of a norm in some places that every summer, families would go travel the world and everything, which is, mashallah, is great, right?
Yeah.
But I knew that probably my risk was not there at the time yet. And I know, inshallah, my time will come. And I told myself, inshallah, I will work towards, inshallah, when I turn 22, I want to start traveling the world. So I started saving
Mashallah.
up, right? I started saving up. I started doing gig jobs to keep the money and to find out all these ways. And at that time, I was still an introvert,
Okay.
right? Inherently, I was an introvert. I was so scared talking to people. So I knew that if I traveled when I was 14 or 15, I would go around and probably not even come back, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I told myself, I'll give myself these few years to train my social skills, my keep money and everything. And alhamdulillah, when I turned 22, alhamdulillah, like the door opened, you know?
MashaAllah.
And there's many things to talk about this topic specifically.
Yeah.
But whenever, if I go too long, just cut me off and the next question, right?
It's okay, yeah. Go ahead.
So one thing that I did was that I knew that traveling, if I had to wait for an opportunity to come, probably I would not have the opportunity to travel. So what I did was that me and my sisters inspired me as well. I first set out to Istanbul and to travel Bosnia and Istanbul, right?
Yeah.
And what I did was I bought the ticket for 2,000 ringgit return, but that's all I had at the time, to be honest. I had I think 2,500 ringgit in my bank account at the time, and I bought 2,000 and I only had 500 ringgit. But I knew I couldn't survive for 500 ringgit for 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So what I did was to go there, I made a poster, I contacted my friends there, and I set up this company, an enterprise called Drop Enterprise,
Mm-hmm.
and I created an initiative called Drop Off. So this Drop Off is basically a international luggage travel, where you sell your luggage traveling to a country you're going to the locals there. So
MashaAllah.
I sold my 40 kilograms of my luggage for 40 ringgit per kilograms, and khalas, it covered all of my ticket price at that time.
All right.
So I survived traveling to Bosnia, Montenegro, Turkey, and all these places using that amount that I got from there. And that's my point when I talk about traveling and entrepreneurship, is that the hikmah behind traveling is not really going to the place,
Okay.
but rather the trials or the challenges that you face to reach there.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah, brother. That's so fascinating how the travel taught you a lot of things and resourcefulness. So that's not too many entrepreneurs that achieved and cultivated. So what were some of the key lessons that you learned during your travel journey that influenced the ventures like Al Umrah Network?
So, mashallah, bro, it seems that your questions are amazing, man. I think you kind of like read my mind and like, so,
Mashallah.
to be honest, I always tell my friends whenever I come back is that sometimes there's some people said to me that, oh, every time I go travel, when he come back, he comes back a different person, you know?
Yeah.
And it's true, but it's important to have good roots so that we may maintain roots so that we don't change too much. But there's two things actually that I learned mostly from my travels. And these two things I think is general and can be benefited by a lot of people, right? The first thing that I learned about traveling is that traveling essentially is not about the distance, right? Because at that time, growing up, I always was fascinated and I couldn't sleep dreaming about going to Hagia Sophia, going to Sana'a or Hadramaut or going to Paris or whatever, right? I dreamt and I romanticized the whole concept of it. Thinking that traveling is only when I reach there. Then that is a form of traveling, right? But then when I actually reached Hagia Sophia, I was marveling at the whole city and the whole people and everything. I was amazed by it. But I realized that essentially the old man selling simit, which is a bread there, is the same. Has the same values as the old man selling ice cream in Malaysia.
MashaAllah.
You know, and I realized that what made traveling valuable is actually when we travel, we kind of we became more open in our thinking. We become more fascinated by small things, right? That old man fascinates me, right? But I realized that if only when I was young, I did not wait 8 years to be fascinated by a man selling simit, right? If only me coming from Shah Alam, if only whenever I go to a city that I was not familiar with, like Subang Jaya or Ampang, whatever, and I look at every small person that I meet, a man at the mosque or a man at the shop or whatever, as a person that I can learn something from, well, that's a form of traveling already. You know?
MashaAllah.
That is actually traveling, right?
Okay, yeah.
And because traveling is not about the distance, it's not about going somewhere far, it's actually about the heart being open and about the mind wanting to know people, right? That's why you learn hikmah, right?
MashaAllah.
When you acknowledge that, you realize that traveling, first point. Second point, traveling is not just for the rich. Because if traveling is not just about going the distance, any man can travel.
Because many people say, if I don't have money, I'm not going to travel anywhere. So
exactly. And that's wrong. You are limiting yourself, right? Because maybe Allah tells you that your form of traveling that you can learn so much is from your own hometown.
MashaAllah.
Right?
Exactly.
And of course, in the past, traveling is like a whole life. You know, like Ibn Battuta left when he was 22. He came back when he was 58 or 59, right? He came back, both his parents passed away. All his siblings not around.
Yeah.
But nowadays, because we think that traveling is like a weekend thing. You know, traveling is just like a summer, right? So we think it's fast. But in reality, no. Historically, traveling was always like a whole thing, like a whole life, right? And because of that, historically, humans never traveled this much. Historically, it means that most people in the past, their traveling was their city, was their own
exploring their own areas,
their own daerah, you know, their own people, their uncles friends, a random uncle in a different city, you know. And I think that's why Allah is Maha Adil, you know, because if learning all these things is only for people that can afford, then how about all of us, you know? How about the rest of us?
Nobody is going to travel. Nobody is going to explore the world.
Nobody's going to learn all this stuff, right? So I realized that, but I was like, man, it took me Hagia Sophia to learn this. And I was like, okay, alhamdulillah, when I came back, I told myself, I was fascinated by it, and now I want to explore my country as well first, right? That's first thing. Second thing, I realized that when I was in Istanbul, I was fascinated like crazy with Üsküdar. Like my friends who hear this from Istanbul will laugh. Because honestly, I was in Istanbul for 3 months. And I spent all 3 months in Üsküdar. Because Üsküdar is an amazing place. Like everything's there. Diversity, people, communities, right? And I noticed that one thing about Üsküdar is that, not just Üsküdar to be honest, just any place, but I saw it when I was in Üsküdar, is that the people converse with each other. People who were 50 years old, 20 years old, 12, 13, uncles, nephews, they interacted with each other, you know. People who were different backgrounds, different professions, different age, they interacted, right? And because of that, a boy that was 12, I felt like this boy was so much more mature than I was when I was 12. And I noticed it was because of that interaction. You know, and that's why I think for me myself, I benefited from that as well, because my family, I'm the youngest of 8 siblings. The one oldest from me is like around 18 years above me. So I think alhamdulillah, I realized that it's connected from my family and what I saw in Nuskudar. So it's validified. So I told myself, okay, this is important. So I will come back to Malaysia, I told myself, and khalas, let's build this, you know. Let's create a platform for people with different background, different age, different occupation, nationality can come together and just make friends. And that will open their mind, you know. And that, to be honest, that is a form of traveling. Talking to strangers is a form of traveling, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is one of the things that I...
MashaAllah, you inspired us by telling these old stories, and I see that you're very excited about it, and you want to learn, and you want people to learn and know about your journey. But it's not that hard for someone to travel and explore the world, right? Yeah, so thank you so much. Now we're going to take a break for a couple minutes, then we'll be back, inshallah.
Bite is a delight. See you there.
Hi. Hello.
Transition. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys, and let's proceed with Sayyid Zaid Al Mahdali. Can we proceed now?
Yalla, let's go.
Yeah, let's go, man. So
Bismillah.
let's talk more about the travel helps the entrepreneurs. You have built a partnership worth over 200,000 euro through your travels. How did you connect with people, and what advice would you give to the new entrepreneurs to trying to do the same?
Okay, first of all, the 200,000 euros partnership is not exactly through my travels. It's for my job, for my work. I work at Nama Foundation, and I'm the partnership executive there. I basically am the one responsible to do partnerships for the foundation, right? So, alhamdulillah, but technically it is true, because what I learned during my travel kind of helped me to secure a lot of this stuff, right? For example, before I went to travel and I went to expose myself to all these places, like I told you before, I was a very constantly agitated and nervous and shy person, right?
Yeah.
I felt like, for example, when I was 15 or 14, right? If I got up in a classroom to buang sampah or to throw garbage in my classroom, it's considered an achievement. Because, oh my God, I'm walking without someone's permission, you know? That's scary.
That's scary.
But then when I travel, I meet people who are so different and so different, basically, right?
Okay.
And it really opened my eyes, telling myself that in the end, all humans are essentially the same, you know? We're all insan, we're all living this world, we're all in this dunya, and we're all trying to survive and learn, and we're all scared as well, right?
Yeah.
So I told myself constantly that, yes, be scared, but throw yourself out, jump, and just learn along the way, right? So because I learned all those stuff, I think throughout the years I practiced and I learned and I improved, resulting to my job right now, right? So my job, I go a lot to Indonesia to partner up with funders there to set up scholarships for Indonesians to study locally, internationally, or etc., right? And I noticed that when we want to convince or lock jobs, secure partnerships, for example, it's all about trust. It's all about building that trust among people and understanding that person, what they want, what we want, compromise, social skills, right?
Yeah.
It's all about that, based on a project charter, right? So all this stuff, I believe, is only possible because of that main point that I realized. That, yes, be scared. You are scared. We all scared. We're all nervous. We're all anxious all the time. Accept it, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody isn't. Nobody isn't anxious. So accept that you are, but still do it regardless. Because we're not defined by what we do or what we don't do.
Yeah.
But we ourselves should define ourselves by each moment, you know? Like, if we want to do something, do we overcome it, you know? Do we let ourselves succumb to these feelings, right? And it's okay if we do either, you know, because life is moments, right? So I think acknowledging that and realizing that really helped me throughout my career, you know, like, because especially in my job, it's a global wakaf fund, investment fund. So a lot of our partners, a lot of our beneficiaries are from all around the world, right?
MashaAllah,
From Tanzania,
MashaAllah.
Kyrgyzstan, Yemen,
Yeah.
Saudi, and everything. And it really requires an understanding that I only had because I met all these people before, diverse people before. Because we have to have this fascination towards people, you know, that when you meet people, he's not just a person, you know.
Yeah.
It's literally, it's
Different mindset.
everything, you know.
You, yeah.
Like, and you have to really be genuine, you know. You want to get to know them, and then when you need to also acknowledge that when you meet
Yeah.
someone, it'll not be all roses, you know.
Yeah, of
and
course.
flowers.
You
It'll
have to
be this
open-minded for
Yeah.
new ideas, new culture,
ideas,
new.
You'll misunderstand, you'll
Yeah.
fight, you know.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that's part of everything, you
That's
know.
part of the journey. Yeah.
That's part of the journey.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. I think that's very helpful, and you also talk about wakaf, right?
Wakaf.
It's a system given by Islam, and how does how traveling show you the importance of the wakaf that help you use it in your businesses?
So growing up, honestly, I always will mention back to my upbringing days, because I believe that my whole character is because of my upbringing from my family, right? And growing up, my father and my parents, both of them are architects, but they love everything actually. They love to learn about really random stuff. Like every
Mashallah.
night in dinner, we'll talk about something different, you know?
Yeah.
So every day will be something different. But I noticed that the central part was always about understanding oneself, an insan, understanding our mind, our soul, and everything. And one of the economic thing that my father always was talking about was wakaf. He always told me that wakaf is more than land, more than just that place to sit, more than houses, right? He said it's more than that. And then he always explore about it, talk about it, research about it. And I was always inspired by that, right? And I did one of my thesis when I was in degree as well, Islamic finance, was about wakaf as well.
Yeah.
And I found out that wakaf itself is definitely more than that. It's a whole systematic philanthropic system, economic system, right? But like I said, it's all theoretical until I actually arrived in Sarajevo, right? And I arrived in Sarajevo, I really saw the real potential of wakaf, because when I arrived in Sarajevo, I went to Ghazi Husrev Bek Vakaf,
Yeah.
which was a vakaf that was set up by the Ottomans when they I'm not sure the term, but probably conquered. I think there's a softer term to it, Sarajevo. And the first thing they did was they built the wakaf, which is built the mosque, built the caravanserai, built the marketplace, they built the madrasa, right? And all that was wakaf. You know?
All of that was wakaf.
All that was wakaf. So
Can you define what wakaf means for the listeners so they can know? Because most of them didn't know what means wakaf.
wakaf, it's basically like the wealth that you have, any assets or possession that you have, you give it for Allah, you know. It's for the benefit of the people, society.
So there's no
Limitations.
There's no
To define
limitations.
it, right? Anything that you give, it benefit everyone else, can be wakaf, right?
Okay.
So this wakaf that I said just now, what has been running by itself since the Ottoman times for 300 to 400 years.
Oh, mashallah.
The whole place, Ghazi Husrev Bek Jami, Ghazi Husrev Bek Madrasa, you know. And I read on the inscription on the gates of the Jami, of the mosque, it wrote, "May Allah reward and accept all the good deeds of the wakif."
Yeah.
The wakif.
Yeah, mashallah.
And then Allah created all these things because it connected our afterlife and our life here on earth, essentially by the good that we can do to other people. You know, and
exactly.
exactly.
That's
right?
the purpose.
The
for
purpose. Yeah, and yeah, the best of us, I think, from that thing mentions that the best of us is the ones who benefit
the life.
others most.
The others.
Right.
That's how we become a better Muslim, the best Muslims. Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, I think that you are very into the society, you want to benefit others. And how old are you again?
I don't remember.
Guys, don't judge the book by its cover. This guy is so young, but he has a lot of achievements, mashallah. And we hope that you achieve more in your future, inshallah.
I mean, inshallah.
So yeah, we're going to the short break. Stay tuned, guys. Stay close. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Well, let's go to Nigeria together.
I haven't been there.
Oh yeah, you grew in Saudi, right?
I grew in Saudi.
Where? Jeddah?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for waiting us, guys. And yeah, let's proceed with the last part of our program show. It's the building community through the entrepreneurship. So, Said Zaid, one of your biggest achievements is leading the team of 40 people in the Al Umran network. How did traveling help you learn the skills to build such a strong community?
MashaAllah. Yeah, Nasir. First of all, I can't believe it's already the final segment, right? How time goes by.
Yeah, we enjoy that.
To be honest, community building and entrepreneurship, I think, has never been separate. It's always been the same thing, essentially, right? It's finding problems and solutions and creating things to benefit people and everything, right? Because business itself is always about filling gaps,
Yeah.
right? So is community building, to be honest. And I think I myself started first with businesses, I guess, because when I was 18, I started my first business called Case Drop. It was a phone case business, allowing around me, there had a lot of people who could draw, could do artwork, very nice artwork, but all they did was keep it in the almari, in the closet, and never do anything about it.
Okay.
And I told them, give it to me, I make it into phone case, I sell it, and I give you royalty, right?
Yeah.
That's the first thing I did. And then it went, as the years go by, I created Case Drop, you went to Drop Off, and then became Pagi Drop, and then we get all this drop, right?
Yeah.
The whole concept at that time was drop, meaning anyone can drop ideas to me, then I'll take it together and let's do something, a business together, right? That was the idea for Drop
Mashallah,
Enterprise.
okay.
And then after a while, I guess, I don't know, actually when I came back from traveling, it shifted, you know? From Drop Enterprise, it shifted into, I was more fascinated into community building after that, right? I realized that essentially what I really want is to build people around me, good people that inshallah will not just benefit me in my life, but also the hereafter, right? So in terms of community building, right, what I believe always at the start was that the first point about community building is that you must first establish the intention for it, right? So for me, my intention has always been that I believe that people essentially, everyone is good, right? And people are always influenced by their surrounding. And growing up, I always struggled socially with people. But I believe it's always because of just different surroundings affect people and everything, right? So I said, okay, I think I benefited from a few communities and I benefited from it. So I said, okay, let's start one where I set the tone, the atmosphere, and inshallah, Allah will send people who are similar to that values, and it will grow organically, right?
MashaAllah.
And I think that's what happened essentially in 2022 when the night I arrived back from Istanbul, I went to this majlis, this gathering by Habib Ali and Abidin Al-Hamid. Literally, I arrived at 6 p.m. and I went from KLIA straight away to the mosque to go to the gathering. And when the gathering ended, I reconnected with a friend I met a year before, and his name was Said Ali. And that night, I ended up hanging out with him from 11 p.m. up until Subuh, right? And we reconnected. I told him all the things I learned from Istanbul, all the things I was fascinated about, and then I felt like, whoa, like talking to you was so interesting, you know. I felt, and I went back. I said, like, man, I want to meet more people like Ali, you know. I feel like leaving Istanbul, I was so sad. I'm leaving all these new friends, but Allah gifted me with Ali straight away, you know.
MashaAllah.
And I was like, okay, I believe there's so many Alis out there, you know.
Yeah.
So I went back to meet Ali a few days after that. I told him, let's build something that can gather more people like you, like me, whatever, you know. And I think that's where we started, and we established. We talked to a few friends like Omar and Hakim and everyone at the one before, and then we set up that Bersemuka concept, right?
Yeah.
Where it is basically a social gathering, or like I said as now, and then we just started up, and then we say, inshallah, people will come. You know, don't worry about that too much. We just create the platform, and then people just came. You know, like, and then we met Afiq, we met Arif, and then slowly people started to come in, you know.
Yeah.
And then the community started to grow organically.
MashaAllah.
Until where it is now, you know, like alhamdulillah, like more than 2,000 people have joined
Oh,
our events
mashallah.
for the past 2 years from more than 25 nationalities. And the committee itself is more than 40 people that's running this voluntarily,
Oh,
right?
mashallah.
And it all started from when I, you know, from a small boy wanting to travel and everything. And then I went to Istanbul, I saw the possibilities. I came back, Allah gifted me with someone that proved to me that there exists this kind of people here in Malaysia as well. And then khalas, we start, and then alhamdulillah, you know, like I'm very grateful with the people that we have around us now.
Yeah, I can see that, mashallah. It's a big community. I think you have worked with both local and global projects, right? And how can young entrepreneurs balance their love of travel with supporting their local communities?
Love of travel. I mean, before what I did was, when I graduated, I mean, when I was studying also, I was working. But I was contract jobs, right? So when I collected money, when I finished the contract, I'll go travel.
Okay.
And then when I graduated, I did the same thing. I worked for a year and then I go travel, right? But for those who are running a business, like, to be honest, business and travel has never been two separate things, like I said, right? I don't think, I mean, okay, traveling can also be going to Maldives for holiday and everything, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, our daily life is a travel, to be honest, you know? Like, for me, myself, like now, I am more restricted to KL. And I was never sad to feel that I cannot travel so much anymore. Like, be in Istanbul for 3 months. I know I can't do that anymore, but it's fine because
Yeah.
I think in KL itself, every day is a form of traveling, you know? And not just commuting through the jam, right?
So you cannot separate the business from traveling.
I think it's not separated. You know, it's the
Yeah.
same thing.
The same thing.
It's the same thing. Like every day you meet people, you talk to people. When you're feeling good or feeling bad, just be open to new people, right?
Yeah.
And it's always connected because when we are entrepreneurs is always about finding problems and solutions, finding gaps, filling the gap, and being flexible, dynamic, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, you can only maintain that fire to be an entrepreneur or that want or that motivation when you constantly keep sharing that fire with other people, you know? And that's why I think like traveling, when we relate traveling to not just places but people, constantly traveling by talking to people and interacting with everyone will benefit you not just in your career but also in your life, in your perspective, in understanding your purpose of life. It all connects, you know. It's never separated, you know.
Okay.
So I
see.
believe that it's not about balancing it. It's just about incorporating everything into our daily life.
So you mean that traveling it could be mentally. You can travel your ideas to others.
Yes.
So you can.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
And that actually reminds me of this one thing.
Yeah.
I read this one book. It said that essentially traveling is a form of exploration that you explore within you, actually, you know. Like he said, he set out to travel, but when he reached outside, he realized that the fascination and the hikmah and the wisdom in life has always been within him already,
MashaAllah.
you know. So
exactly,
to
yeah.
set out, he said, is actually to set back and return home,
MashaAllah, yeah.
you know,
I see.
which is yourself. Yeah. So I think that's a very I keep repeating this because I think essentially that is the fundamental of everything, you know. You really have to acknowledge that this entrepreneurship, this learning, this traveling and everything
Yeah.
is actually a mindset, a form of seeing things. And when you are able to really connect all these things together by relating it to our daily normal lives, it will really take away that longing of as if you're not enough all the time, you know. Because when I was young, I always felt like, oh, I want to go here, I want that, I want this. But then when I realized that I am already where I should be and what I want to be, and I'm already traveling and I'm already doing anything, like I keep improving myself, but I no longer have that hole in my heart, you know.
Yeah, I see. MashaAllah.
I no longer yearn empty, I think. Yeah.
So can you tell us what you're planning in future and what are you doing right now?
Now I am the partnership executive of Now Foundation, which is a global investment wakaf fund.
MashaAllah.
I basically work mostly in partnerships. What I do is that I have an X amount of funds, and then what I do is I have to establish new scholarships for people. So I contact funders to co-fund projects, and then they
Globally,
implement.
right? You contact funds globally, not locally only.
Exactly, mostly globally actually.
I
We
see.
don't work in Malaysia actually.
I see.
We're only based in Malaysia. So we go to all the places and we talk to them, and then we establish funds, and then they
Okay.
execute scholarships for us, right?
I see.
So that's my day job. But my passion and where my heart lies is Ahal Umran Network, you know.
Uh-huh.
Not just the whole concept, but the people in there, right?
MashaAllah.
The
I see.
community that we're building, the goodness that we're trying to propagate, right? And I think that is my life, I think. Like, and the clock strikes 5, I straight away go back to that, you know?
Mhm.
I straight away go back to the people there, to the concept that we're trying to build, right? Up until nighttime. Now,
Mashallah.
when I wake up, okay, I live Nama again as a Wakaf guy,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
partnership and everything. 5, khalas, Umran, you know?
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. A guy like you, we need 100 of them that we benefit from him, that benefit the society, MashaAllah. So we are reached to the end of our session, guys. So it's been a great conversation with you, Said. And from your travels to your businesses, you have shown us how the travel work can make you stronger and more creative. So to all our listeners, remember, every journey has ups and downs, and something that you can learn from and you can grow with. So Zaid, can you give some ideas, any final ideas for the listeners or advice you can give them?
I guess I'll just say something. I'll try to be short.
Yeah.
So just one thing, I think. The most important thing that I think that I learned from the majlis that I go and I try to learn from them. What I learned from them is that they say essentially we need to live our life very clearly in a way that we know our purpose and we know essentially why we're doing everything, right?
Yeah.
So know that the most important thing in life is that we want to refine ourselves. And when I say ourselves is our soul and our roh, right?
Yeah.
So know that our life should always be focused and centralized on constantly improving it and refining it. And to refine it is only possible by doing the Sharia, which is prayers, doing zakat and all this stuff.
Exactly.
And one thing that people always not notice is the sohbah part, right? The soul benefits so much by having good sohbah or good companionship. So surround yourself with good people, and it starts not with finding good people, but being a good person yourself.
MashaAllah.
And being a good person does not mean that you're perfect. It's just that you have a want to try to be good, and sometimes you're not good. Sometimes you do
well,
bad.
Not everyone is perfect.
Exactly. But
Exactly.
just tell yourself, inshallah,
Improve.
I'll try again tomorrow, right?
MashaAllah, yeah, exactly.
And inshallah, Allah will send you good people, and you'll find a good community, and from there, it will really benefit not just your career, your life, your studies, your work, but also it will benefit your soul, which is our soul is the one that will survive for eternity, right?
Exactly,
So
MashaAllah.
inshallah.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Zaid, for coming us here today. And thank you for the listeners that listen up. We are here from IIUM FM. So listen, guys, keep going, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, every journey starts with a single step. Until next time, inshallah, I see you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
forget to listen